response for their statement, and I now give the floor to the representative of Slovenia.
Thank you, President. I wish to begin by thanking Deputy Coordinator Hadi for his briefing. Madam President, since day one of the war in Gaza, there was one common denominator to all our statements in this organization's chamber. More than a year after the terrorist attack of Hamas and ensuing war in Gaza, the tone of our statements might have changed, but the call we had since the beginning stays the same. It is our call for the respect of international law. It is our firm belief that in a world of clashing interests, international law represents a safety net. International law is not a menu to choose from, and it should know no double standards. We must all stand by it, and we must all act based on its guidance. And to answer a question posed to us last week, there is only one set of international law for everyone. We have met many times throughout this war, and while discussing complex war or individual incidents, all members of this Council have been clear all along. International law matters. It matters how the world is conducted. The protection of civilians matters. Accountability matters. Every country, including Israel, and every entity, including Hamas, must be held accountable to these international legal standards. Slovenia underlines the need for accountability for all grave violations and abuses of international law in all situations. Without accountability, any peace we are pursuing will remain illusory. Accountability must be a cornerstone of sustainable peace and closure that people in the region will desperately need. As we have made it clear in the case of the International Court of Justice, we want to make it clear in relation to the International Criminal Court. Slovenia is a long-standing supporter of the work of the International Criminal Court, its independence, and its integrity. Full respect of international law must include respect for decisions and judicial advice of international courts and tribunals, including arrest warrants. We build a system to serve humanity. Madam President, we are alarmed by the continued deterioration of the situation in the Middle East. In the West Bank, airstrikes, raids, and operations continue. We are appalled by the number of children killed in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, every week since October 7th last year. Settler violence, restrictions, and demolitions further compound the dire situation. And let me also add to that Slovenia rejects any idea or plan to annex the West Bank. International law is clear on that. People in Gaza are facing an apocalyptic situation in the north, which has been besieged. Hunger is spreading, aid is restricted. Winter is coming and insecurity could bring the humanitarian operation in Gaza to a standstill. We deplore the looting of humanitarian aid convoys and underline the responsibility of parties to the conflict to ensure aid reaches people in need. Slovenia highlights the vital role of UNRWA in providing assistance to the Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem. Madam President, today we mark the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. We must highlight the dire situation of all women and girls in Gaza, including Israeli women held hostage, who continue to be exposed to heightened risk of gender-based violence. Displacement, overcrowding, and lack of privacy in temporary shelters deprive women and girls in Gaza of safe spaces, rendering them more vulnerable to violence and abuse. Madam President, when meetings end and lights go off in this chamber, our work only ends if we manage to give people on the ground hope for a better tomorrow. As the Secretary General said some weeks ago, the only certainty people in Gaza have is that tomorrow will be worse. This seems to also be the case for the remaining hostages. So our work cannot stop here. We must do more. We must achieve an immediate, unconditional and permanent ceasefire. This Council must act decisively and give people on the ground hope for a better tomorrow. I thank you.